Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Welcome to TALKS. I'm your host, Veronica Brockwell. Well, tonight's show is about unmasking people pleaser. I don't know how many of you are people pleasers, but I have that tendency. I really feel that I want to please everyone, and I hate saying no to people, even though sometimes I know that I need to. And we're going to talk about that tonight and how it actually can hurt you and hurt your relationships by being a people pleaser. And I have the absolute best people for this topic. And the discussion is going to be with Breanne Leenkamp and Hannah Chapman from Seahorse Behavioral. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Oh, I'm blurry still.
You're blurry. Oh, no.
What's going on?
Will she still like me?
Oh, there we go. That helps. Okay.
You still like me even though you were blurry?
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, whatever, right? Oh, I guess we should start off by saying we have a sponsor this evening, and that is Blurred Lines Medical Spa in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. We're actually going to be giving away a deluxe facial on their behalf. So we'll give you more details on that later on. But before we get started, Breanne, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, and just in case this is their first time tuning in?
Sure. I'm Breanne Leenkamp. I'm an adult nurse practitioner and a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and the owner of Seahorse Behavioral.
And Miss Hannah Chapman, who is no longer blurry. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yep, I'm Hannah Chapman. I am a psychiatric nurse practitioner, and I work for Breanne at Seahorse Behavioral.
And what an amazing team. I have to tell all of you out there, I've been working with these ladies now for a bit of time. We've been doing the show together.
Over a year.
And I'm so grateful to you and our friendship. I just, you give really good information, helpful information, but you also are real. And it just feels good having these conversations with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really feel the same.
Same to you, definitely. And we definitely hope that we give some little gems and pearls to those of you who are listening out there. And, because any little bit can really help.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And not everyone can go to a therapist right now. It's really tough to get in. It's expensive. Maybe some people are a little bit nervous about going to therapy. So this is a nice little introduction to see what it's like, at least within your practice, of what people can experience.
Yeah.
So let's get to the topic at hand. We're going to talk about people pleasing. Let's go, ladies. So can you tell our viewers what people pleasing is?
I think there's a couple of faces on here that are, the definition, but it's so common. It's really doing things that maybe you don't really feel comfortable doing to make someone else happy. And it can be in really many different settings. So, I do feel like it is such a common thing that so many of us do. And, guilty as charged in various instances. I hope that we can kind of talk a little bit more about that and how to protect yourself and be empathetic and be kind without crossing that boundary.
And I think, maybe some examples of that for me is, people ask me, for different things, or to do different things, or to participate in certain activities. And I know I don't have time, like 100%. And I want to do it even. Like, I want to participate. I want to do all these things, especially after you have a glass of wine and you're a little relaxed and you're having fun. But at the end of the day, I know that I can't. And I say yes, and I overcommit. And then I think everyone's going to be mad if I follow through. That's people pleasing, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Veronica, that's it right there.
Classic people pleasing.
Oh yeah, that's me. Do you guys have any examples of things that you do that you would say are people pleasing behaviors?
Yeah.
I think we both do.
I mean, yeah, I think like a lot. Well,
yes.
I think a lot of us, especially those of us that, you know, are drawn into the people, you know, like, you know, people helping people professions, especially too, like we tend to overextend ourselves. Brianne and I have, you know, had many just like personal discussions amongst ourselves about how we have to do better at setting our own personal boundaries for like self-care. You know, I'll give an example. You know, right now, one of the biggest issues that we're facing with patients is the massive shortage of stimulants for treating ADHD.
Heard of that.
Yeah. And because of that, you know, we're finding ourselves in situations where, okay, patient requests the refill, we send it to the pharmacy. The patient is told by the pharmacy, this is nobody's fault. It's just the med is not available. And, you know, so the patient will reach out, you know, I'm really desperate. I need the medication. And so, you know, you're finding yourself as the provider, like scrambling. Okay, let me send it to this place. I want to send it to this place before, like, you know, it runs out there. And it's like, we've had to really be pretty firm with like what we're able to do, because otherwise we would literally be doing this all day long and we wouldn't even have time to talk to our patients. So, you know, that took, I think, months for us to figure out how to create a system with that. Because we were people pleasing, you know what I mean? And the problem becomes when you get yourself into situations where, we have hundreds of patients at our practice. And if you're people pleasing hundreds of people, you literally have no time for yourself.
Yeah. And it's just,
Brianne,
you know,
do you have
these
do you have any examples?
Yeah, I mean, I'm notorious for, you know, we talked about like, what do you do when the online requests come through? And I'm notorious for, you know, just put it at the end of the day, put it on a Saturday, put the patient on a Sunday. Like, what do I need to do? And, you know, and it's easy to get caught up in that because so many people are in need right now.
Yeah.
And you just want to help. You just want to help, but you're not helping by not helping yourself. So, you know, I think there's certain circumstances that, yeah, you know, I think that self-care is trumped in some ways, but it can't be for every situation. It's kind of how we've had to look at it. So picking and choosing really who needs it, and giving that time, but also giving that time back to yourself when, you know, we work long hours. It's just like, it's not a job that's like clock in, clock out. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
Yep. Uh-oh. Did we short circuit? Uh-oh.
we'll come back to it. I feel like, you know, it's you know, and you know, I think a lot of people like become a people pleaser for many different reasons.
Oh, are we back?
Hi.
We're back.
All right.
We're out of order. I got everything down and went back in.
Hey,
Where were we?
hey, it's
I
an
was-
opportunity for everybody to get in and do an entry.
I know, you're like, you know what? We're just popping out because we don't really have anything to say.
I
You
really
had-
was in backstage. I was crying. I was laughing so hard.
Okay,
I
well,
just
I
could
have
not
this,
stop laughing.
I have this handy dandy fan that I put
Oh.
on today, and I don't understand. I feel it though. It's cooling, kind of. It's for gamers.
It's
I
not
don't-
people pleasing. It's not people pleasing.
No, it's computer.
I'm
pleasing.
people pleased. I couldn't stop. I needed that. I could not stop laughing. I'm just sitting here, just laugh. Oh, is it happening again? Oh my god! I thought it was going to happen again.
I'm in my plugged in, you know. So I'm like, okay, this has got to fix it, you know. So I got to get the fan on.
All right.
Yeah, I
Back
don't know.
in action.
Yeah, all right. Oh, we got people on here too. I'm sure they left.
They're probably
They were like, you guys are a bunch of losers.
chaotic.
We're out of here. All right, let's go
Oh,
back to where
God,
we
that
were.
is my
So we
face
are
hurts.
understanding people pleasing, and I have all my people pleasing friends on. I see. Hello, people pleasing friends. All right. So let's pick up. Okay, so you were saying, Brianne, you were talking about your people pleasing. Yes.
Yeah.
And yes. And what was that? Did I miss it? Or
Yeah. So I was just saying, making these out of our like work hour appointments that, just to try to get somebody seen if they need it, even if it's not like an urgency. So just trying to really take that time and do that really when it's necessary to do that, and take that time, as Hannah said, for your own self-care,
Yeah.
outside of the work hours.
yeah, and that brings us to our next conversation here is the impact on your relationships and the workplace. So, for example, what happens here if you are overcommitting to patients? You had just mentioned that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it goes both ways. I can speak as the owner and the employer, and I think Hannah can speak as the employee. I think the more commitments you have, the harder it is to be present for your employees. And I think there's also that piece of trying to please your employees and maybe doing without for yourself. I think we just recently had like a big hack to all of our clearinghouses, and I'm sure there's a lot of employers who couldn't pay themselves because they couldn't get claims out, they couldn't get claims in.
Wow.
And and I'm sure people put their employees before them, and even potentially their business. I mean, I know
Sure.
of other practitioners who like went 2-3 weeks without being able to pay their employees what they normally pay them because it was just in lockdown. There was no getting
Wow.
past everything with the hack. And so I think it goes both ways. It's just you kind of just have to have some sort of balance from either angle.
So, what other impacts can we have on relationships from people pleasing? Let's talk about friendships, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing to if you don't mind, if I like back up just even one step further, I think a lot of it goes back to like maybe relationships from like early on in your life that have like created this like have like formed how you start to or situations that have happened early in your life that end up influencing how you respond to other people. So, maybe you live in a house with very high expectations, with, unreasonable expectations, and maybe there's unreasonable punishments for not meeting those unreasonable expectations. And so that type of environment and growing up in that type of environment is inevitably going to seep into every interaction, not every interaction, but a lot of interactions that you have with other people. So for example, with friends, you know, this is probably the classic situation of, and it's actually kind of funny. This just reminds me, we do a CBT workbook. We've talked about it like a million times, cognitive behavioral therapy workbook. One of the scenarios that we go through with the kids is basically it's like a 12-year-old kid. Brianna's smiling because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Oh no, there I go again. What is going on today, guys?
I don't know. Oh, you know, it's the eclipse.
Oh yeah, total eclipse of the heart.
Yeah. That was yesterday. But it's still eclipsed in somewhere, right? I don't know
what's going on here.
It's your reminder for the blurred lines.
Oh yeah, blurred
I'm
lines.
blurring all of these. Yep. Blurred lines.
The filter of the blurred lines. Yes.
But yeah, the scenario is a young kid, and he has two friends. One friend has been having a tough time in math class, and he has to ask the friend. The friend says, you know, can you help me? You're really good at math. And he says, absolutely, I will help you study. Then comes along another friend, and that friend says, hey, I got tickets to the Patriots game, and it's on Saturday. Yeah. And the dilemma is, what do you do? Right now, there's really not a right or wrong answer. We've gone through it with the patient a million different ways. But the point is that depending on who the person is in that dilemma, each person might respond differently due to, it's all people pleasing. Like you, and guess what? In that scenario, you might be disappointing. You're going to disappoint someone, right? Sure. And so it's kind of going through that with the kids and kind of getting them to realize, like, it, you know, whatever decision you make, like there are going to be consequences to that decision, and you have to be okay with that. And I think that's what it comes into with friendships is, you know, you're going to make decisions with friends. Oh, I can't do that. Or I committed to something and I shouldn't have committed to it. And there's a consequence for that. And I have to be okay with that. And I have to figure out how to navigate that. And I think some of that comes back to creating bonds, strong bonds with friends that maybe would know you better than to say, are you sure you can do that? Mm-hmm. I know you'll do that, but can you?
Well, let's, you know, you had mentioned here that it stems from childhood, right? A lot of this, right? So can we touch upon that and kind of go backwards, and let's really try and understand why we do this?
Yeah, I think like Hannah said, you know, you might have grown up in a household where, you know, you might have gotten in trouble if the dishes weren't perfectly in alignment, or, you know, the chores weren't done. And, you know, I think it puts a lot of stress on a child in an environment like that. So if I'm perfect, then I won't have this feeling of like I did it wrong, I was bad, you know. And, you know, we've talked a lot about, you know, different types of issues that kids face with ADHD, and, you know, and how these things can morph into different like personality traits, and what your environment is and how that can morph into different personality traits. So, you know, your foundation really can determine these different paths that you go down and how you relate to these situations. And, you know, I think that's a big one. I think a lot of people pleasers have some of that feeling of like perfectionism. Like I'm doing this because I have to do it this way perfectly, which that's hard to keep up with.
So I used to be a perfectionist. I'm not anymore. I've had to learn not to be. I'm much happier this way. I'm super messy now. But my father wanted the carpet vacuumed in a pattern.
Yeah.
In a pattern. Yeah. Imagine. Every day.
Yeah.
So when I got home from school, I had to vacuum the carpet in a pattern, because that was a really good use of my time also. And we were the only ones that were going to see it.
Yeah.
But he wanted to come home.
Yeah.
So, this was just,
And
and
how did
he
you
was a
feel?
perfectionist.
Like, how did you feel doing that, knowing like I'm doing this to please my dad? Like, what were your feelings having to do that, coming home from school every single day?
Oh, I hated it. I mean, I thought it was just dumb. I just didn't understand. Like, I was like, this is dumb, but I have to do it. And if I didn't do it, it would be, I'd be in trouble. So I
Right.
just did it and I just sucked it up, and I wasn't allowed to make a face because wipe that smirk off your face. I can't make a face. I can't say anything about it. I can't do that. I have to repress, and vacuum it. It seems like
Yeah.
not a big deal, but those were the type of things I grew up with. It was a different time, of course, but that maybe, those types of things have made me just try to please everyone and just don't really say how I feel, because if I say how I feel, someone's going to be mad at me.
Yeah.
And on that note, sometimes that does happen because
Yeah.
I try to accommodate everyone, and then I'll put up a boundary and they're
Right.
not prepared for that. And then people get upset
Right.
because they're like, well, V always says yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
and we'll
yeah.
we'll talk about that again soon. But, do you guys have any childhood stories that have made you a people pleaser? Do you think that you could share without,
I mean, that's my story of probably my entire life is I'm,
yeah.
I mean, I was a kid, there were stressful situations growing up. I think, Brianne made the comment of like perfectionism, right?
Mhm.
That is actually a coping skill for kids that can be stressed out. And there were
Mhm.
many aspects of my childhood that were really great, but there were some things, I won't go into too much detail, but, you know, getting straight A's, being the number one kid in the, not number one, but, doing like peer leadership and, those things were a way for me to get like positive reinforcement of
Mhm.
whatever. Right. And going out of, I think one of the things that you said that just kind of like jumped out at me is you said, I had to do it because if I didn't, like there would be something bad, like something bad would happen,
Oh,
right?
I wouldn't get to go out of the house.
Correct.
Like if
Correct.
I didn't do that, I couldn't see my friends.
Correct. And so you take this scenario of
Mhm.
I did, like if we just like say this out loud, right? Think
Yeah.
of how wild that is. I didn't vacuum the floor in the right pattern.
Mhm.
And because of that, I didn't get to do anything with my friends. Like that scenario and the consequence of that scenario are so misaligned. And how much does that then create fear or your way that you've now distorted how you're afraid of things turning out because that was a reality for you, right? So
Mhm.
what goes through your mind then when you do put down a boundary with a friend? I actually can't do that. I'm sorry. And in your head, you're thinking, they're probably going to hate me. They're never going to want to talk to me again. And it's like,
Yeah.
that might not, this time, it actually might align perfectly. But because of what you've experienced for so long, your
Mhm.
brain is convincing you that the outcome is going to be just as devastating as it was when you weren't vacuuming the carpet the right way. You know what
It's
I mean?
amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you
Right?
remember, like our brains
Yeah.
remember.
Oh, I remember the little detail of this. I mean, I can't even imagine how old I was, but
Yeah,
you
I
never
believe
forget
it.
that stuff.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest of the crowd here. It's
Oh.
amazing. What yeah. Do you have an experience, Brianne, that you can think of that
I
would
mean, I
kind of
think,
sticks out?
yeah, I mean, I think like different for me. Like, I didn't grow up in a household where like there was a lot of perfectionism. Like, I feel like I could pretty much do what I wanted to do, which maybe was like the opposite of it. Is
What?
as I was like getting
Oh
older,
God.
I'm like, whoa, like I could like I should probably shouldn't have been able to do whatever I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. And but there was
Well,
like
you turned out all
like
right.
a lot of like positivity, but but I think
Yeah.
we had like a lot of loss in our family, and I think
Yeah.
that kind of is more of like that piece of, you know, people need help. Like a lot of people need help. Like I can help in this way. Like I can help with this skill. I can help in, you know, so I think for me, it's like a little bit different than like a fear, like of like I need to do it the right way. It was just, you know, when you lose a lot of people, we've talked about just loss in general, that I think it changes how you respond to certain situations. And that's more important to me sometimes than really taking care of myself. Is I know I can do a better job. So I know I can help somebody, and I'm going to just do whatever I can to make that happen, whatever the cost is. And that's not just that, but that's not feasible to do it that way.
All right. So we know where it came from. So we're going to, again, talk about the psychological and physical effects of people pleasing. It's not good, right?
I think like you said, you know, like the fear, like think about your cortisol, think about your stress response and perfectionism. So fast forward to really taking the situation, and what do we see? Anxiety, fear, OCD behaviors, because if I don't do something perfectly, something bad is going to happen. And so there's like a lot of physiological changes that can happen. High blood pressure, you know, we see cardiac symptoms happen. We see these what seems like a heart attack, you know, in all aspects of it happen when someone like acutely loses somebody. We see changes in like your cardiac function and rhythm, and people, you know, we've seen like a lot of atrial fibrillation lately, you know, a lot of like arrhythmias and changes. And you know, people don't like sometimes believe you. Like you need to work on your stress and anxiety, because if your heart rate is going a mile, you know, like 120, 30, 40 beats a minute, like you probably will like go into a different rhythm. Like your regular rhythm will probably change. And autoimmune diseases and, you know, just chronic inflammation, which you've talked a lot about on this show. We see that like these are real consequences of even just something like people pleasing.
GI like stomach disturbances,
Oh,
like
for
there's
sure,
such a
right?
strong link, like the mind gut connection is huge. You know, you can just go online, the number of studies and links between, you know, anxiety, depression, stress, and then like IBS flares and things like that. I mean, it's very real. It's a very like real, the physiological aspect. And I think even so if you're overexerting yourself, right? And if you're overdoing it, what is it? If you're always doing things for other people, what is naturally going to happen? You are not going to do things for yourself. So that actually, it can have this domino effect, right? Because, you know, if you're not taking the time to take care of yourself, you're not sleeping enough, which means you're not getting restorative, like you're not having any sort of restoration of your energy levels. You know, are you clocking out of work when you should be clocking out of work so that you can go to the gym, so that you can like, these are these like, and guess what? All of those, and are you making the time for yourself to, you know, like create good, nourishing meals for yourself? Like, are you doing any of those things? How many of those things have been taken away because you are not putting down personal boundaries and because you're trying to please other people?
Well,
Those
there's
things
this
will all
thing.
lead to physical issues.
Yeah, when you say yes to somebody else, you're saying no to yourself.
Mhm.
You know, we have limited time. We have limited time and limited time, you know, most of us have a lot of people in our lives, you know, too. And we need to take into consideration our self-care and work and all these other things. So it's tough. And I'm sure, you know, moms have a real tough time right now, and moms and dads with their kids and all the things and all the activities. I mean, it's just, well, so let's we actually have some tools to help you through this. We're going to talk about setting boundaries, and then we're going to help the people pleaser learn how to set the boundaries, because that's the problem. We have a tough time saying no, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go through that.
Yeah, and I think too, it's kind of determining as a people pleaser what route you take. Are you the people pleaser who's doing everything, or are you a people pleaser who then has turned inward and has done and now is avoiding everything? You know, so I so I think it's like setting boundaries on both ends, because you're trying to protect yourself. Like, I'm probably someone, my husband like always makes fun of me. He's like, you have no friends. And I'm like, for a reason. It's
you do. Like, we like, even like, look at us, right? Like, sadly, this is how we hang out, right? But like, we always talk about it. We're like, okay, we have to do our dinner. We have to do, and what happens?
Yeah. Like when, I mean, Hannah's like, you're good, Hannah. Like, you are good at like
But
maintaining your
we're
relationship.
We're cool with each other, which
Yeah.
is nice. Like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I could be straight with you guys and just like, we can be honest with each other, and it's okay. Maybe because you're therapists. I don't know. I have no idea, but
I hope we're good at it.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's cool. But like, even us, like, we can't even sometimes get and meet, just to even talk about the show.
Oh, so, I know. Yeah.
But like,
it's
just
comes
to shove, like, you do it, when it's something that's important. You all come together and you do what you need to do. But, I think it's the other side of it is not having to wait till it's something like that. It should be okay to say, I'm going to leave work early on a Tuesday, because that's also important to meet up and have these discussions and spend time with friends and not feel guilty about it. So I think that's part, one of like setting the boundaries, is not feeling guilty about it.
I'm so sorry.
What did you do?
Nothing. There was like it's a ladybug. I'm having some PTSD from.
I wasn't sure.
Hannah's seeing things.
It's so fun to do live
This
shows,
has been the most absolute chaotic 42 minutes. Like, it's just been nuts.
It's so much fun.
Jump scare.
What did I just do? Oh, here we go. All right. I don't know what that was. I just pressed a button. I was like, oops. All right. Yeah, it has been, it's loads of fun. All right. So we are going to go through. Okay. So we're going to teach people right now how to set boundaries. There are like different methods you can use, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for the brave, we're going to go with the direct approach. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Let's try. Yeah. All right.
I would like to just say about the direct approach, something that I think oftentimes people tend to be very uncomfortable with, because it comes off as like a little abrasive. And I've actually, as I've gotten older and matured, I have actually learned to like very much so appreciate and respect individuals who are much more direct. Mm-hmm. I've even taken it with my patients of them saying, no, that this, whatever you just did, like, it just didn't work for me. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks. Like, I appreciate that. Like, so yeah. So
good for you.
Well, but
congratulations. That's good. That's like
good for them, right? Good for the patient. And it goes both ways. Like, if you're going to be someone that's going to give a direct approach, you got to be able to take a direct approach, right? Like, and trying not to take that like personally. But yeah, it's straight, it's to the point. So let's say someone asks you to Hannah, could you pick up an extra 8 hours this week for work?
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that. I have other commitments.
Perfect. Right. It's just, I think we have here, there's if somebody, invites you to a party or something like
Mhm.
that, I appreciate the offer. But unfortunately, I won't be able to attend this
Yep.
week on that night, and you just sort of let it land. And of course, I would be like, I really, really wanted to go too. I'm so sorry. I can't make it. Like this is me. Like, cause I
But at
feel
least,
so bad.
but at least, and then, a lot of people feel like they have to like have an excuse at the end of that. And, and I
Right.
think challenge yourself to not do that. Like, I can't come.
Yeah.
And it's not, oh, because someone's sick and because of this and because of
Yeah.
that. And,
I
and people are
know.
making up all these reasons
Yeah.
why. And then you forget the reason why. And then, that's not being a good friend. It's just be open with that. And we deal with this all the time. I mean, like, we have certain people who just can't take certain medications, right? There's just certain things you can't do. If someone has, had maybe a history of alcoholism, there's certain medicines we have to stay away from. And you have to be direct, that I can't give that to you because that's not safe. I
Mhm.
can't give that to you because that can trigger your brain to maybe go back to drinking, and so you can't be wishy-washy, like, oh, maybe, like, let's see it down the road, because people hold on to that and they're like, it's down the road. It's like 3 days from now. So are we going to do this medicine now? Are we going to do this medicine now?
Yep.
And and so you really have to have that direct approach, but you can do it in a way that's respectful, and you can do it in a way, like Hannah said, that someone actually is taking it in that way, and being empowered by the fact that it's a direct approach and I can give it back to you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think the direct approach works well. Um,
I agree.
but there's also the empathetic response.
Yeah.
And that's nice too. It's kind of it's direct, but it's a little softer.
Yeah.
So we have here, I understand that this is important to you, but I need to prioritize my own commitments on that night.
Mhm.
Like but you could soften that up a little bit, I think. I know
Yeah.
this is important to you. I wish it was a different night, but it isn't. I have something
Mhm.
else going on. I'll be thinking about you. I'm putting a little heart into it, but
Yeah.
still putting up that boundary, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, oh, sorry, Brianne, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think this comes back to, like, how people have that statement, like, you got to read the room, like, that's kind of, I think, what I was saying earlier too, like, when you're creating relationships around you, right? This is why it's important to be very, I don't want to say careful, but you have to take care of those relationships. You have to make sure
Mhm.
that you're putting yourself in situations with people who genuinely care about you, because I think if you do that, regardless of what approach you're going to take, right, when you're putting down these boundaries, that person will figure out a way to support you, right? But you do have to kind of, like, you might have to, like, gear it towards it's about knowing your friend and knowing what approach is going to be the best for them. If, I mean, I'll give an example. This has been a really crappy week this week. I've one of my best friends just had two unbelievable losses in the last couple days. And I have plans next week to go and visit my other really good friend, my best friend. We've been planning this for months. And I can't go. I can't. I have to be here, for my friend, for services, those things. And am gladly committing to those. Now, I could have just called her last night and said, I'm not coming. Just want to let you know I'm not coming. I have other stuff I have to go. That's probably not the best, because my friend that lives down in North Carolina, she's got her own stuff going on, so I read the room. Like, you take an empathetic approach, like,
Yeah.
I love you. There's nothing more in this world that I want more than to spend time with you. And she knows that. And, I gave this empathetic response, and you want to know what her response was last night? Hannah, you don't even have to explain yourself. She was like, I would do the same thing for you. But that just goes back to, like, we have this foundation of a friendship, right? Of, like, there's this common understanding that she's like, I respect your boundaries and I don't want you to overstep boundaries in order to please me because I'm okay. You know what I mean? It was just like this is exactly like a very similar situation, and then a moment of me probably giving a little too empathetic of a response, but her reply was just like, you're good, like you're all, like, and I'm sure she said, I appreciate that. I'm appreciative that like you care enough to like take this basically approach with me, but like it's good, we're good.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry you've been going through this.
Oh, it's really more
and Brianna
empathy
too.
for my
A
friend,
lot of stuff
like
going
feeling
on.
for my friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
But you handled it. You were in a situation where you had two commitments that were both very sensitive, and then you had to pick one that you felt like you needed to be more present for. So sounds like your friend in North Carolina knows you well enough to know that that worked out. Yeah, she's your
right there.
She's your boo.
It's my sister. That's my girl.
She's your boo. Okay, so offering alternatives is another thing that you can do when you put up a boundary, right? So if you can't commit to something, you can maybe offer an alternative.
Yeah, I think and it's inevitable that you're going to potentially double book yourself, or something will come up. And I think first, we talked about not feeling guilty. Second, keeping track of the commitments that you have, write it down, put it in your calendar. We have so much access to really, electronically making sure that we're not double booking ourselves, but it happens. Like this certainly in Hannah's situation was not something that you could anticipate happening, and I think these things happen all the time. And, and I think a great alternative is, hey, we can't get together this week or next week, but let's put something else on the books. Let's put something else on the calendar, because you feel good about it. They feel good about it, that you are being empathetic to what their needs are too, especially if you have another friend who also has something going on, or a family member, but you're not going to be the best to them if you are really not able to do these things for you. And, so I think this is great to offer alternatives to the situation.
And I know for me, a lot of times I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and it has nothing to do with them at all. It's about my lack of time and me overcommitting. I wish I could be all things to all people. That would be my dream, that I would be able to handle all of that, but I can't. It's not humanly possible. And so I think I always feel bad that I don't want to ever hurt anyone, or I never want anyone to feel bad, badly. So I love the idea of, offering alternative plans. I think that's a really good idea for those people, those viewers out there that are kind of have a similar personality to me.
I will just add too, though, this, I think out of all of the approaches we're going to talk about, is most likely the most slippery slope, right?
100%, because then you're backed up with plans.
Well, and did you just back yourself into the same corner, right? So,
we're just kicking the can.
Well, no, but it's so true, right? Like
kicking the can down the road. There we go.
Right. So, absolutely offer alternatives. I would go as far as to add one word in between that, which is offer realistic alternatives. Like,
I love it. Yeah.
Like offer something that you think you'll be able to, and it's within like the realm of possibility, and it's not something that is going to be detrimental to you or the person that you're offering it to, because you certainly don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think there's like a level of empowerment too when you can clear your plate and and get out some of these thoughts about really having your calendar so booked out that you're not enjoying the life and enjoying the time doing things when you're dreading to go out. And sometimes it's nice just to do the spring cleaning and I'm just going to get rid of all of these things on my calendar. Like I'm not doing any of these things. And this is time for me and time of clarity to be able to do different things in your life and have different directions. And, it can be a very good feeling to put these boundaries in place for you, for the people around you, and just offer you a different way of looking at things.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was literally thinking about that today, that I was going to take an entire week and not commit to any extra plans. So I could just get caught up and just do like little things around the house, just, little things that I just ignore because I just simply, I just overcommit. And it's not that I want to do these things. It's just that the stress happens when you just have too much going on and you can't get everything done. And then you feel like a failure. Like I just can't get everything done, and you're scrambling and you're not doing things to the level they should be. So it can really just create a whole host of problems in your life, like you said, and the stress, anxiety, blood pressure, all of those things, So we have, okay, so setting boundaries here is, clearly communicate your boundaries and explain why you're declining the request. We kind of talked about this earlier, but even saying that you need to set aside some time for self-care, and that is why you just can't take on any additional responsibilities right now. I mean, that's okay to say. It's okay to tell your friend or tell whomever, I just have to take care of myself right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because if you can't do that, then all of these things the dominoes fall, something gives. It can lead to conflict with your friends. It can lead to conflict at work. It can lead to conflict in so many different settings. And, and I think you said it, it's like a lot of negative self-talk comes from not being able to do these things. And when you can clear the calendar and you can do these things that you want to do that you never get to do, just think about how you're going to feel. If you took a week and you're just like, I'm gonna get done all of these things, if that's possible. People might only be able to take a day or 2 days, but think about how you feel. It's like, we did like a big spa day last year or the year before, and it was just like rejuvenation. Like, let's go, let's do this, and think about these times that you do that. Like, it shouldn't just be once a year. Like, you should do this more often. Like, do these good things for you as often as you need to do them.
And reaffirming your position has to do with the friend or the person that doesn't take no for an answer. So how do we handle that?
I mean, I think it depends on the situation. I think the biggest thing is assertiveness and remembering, why am I putting this boundary down in the first place? What is my priority? If you have to repeat the declining of whatever it is or putting that boundary down, that's what you have to do. It's
right.
I think it actually kind of goes back to the first thing you brought up, V, which was just direct approach. Like, if someone is not, maybe you've tried the empathetic response and they're not accepting, and it might just be time to be direct. Listen, I am really sorry that you're disappointed. But I have to be selfish and I have to do this for me. And I understand that this might impact our relationship. I understand this might impact whatever. And I'm willing to accept that consequence, but I have to do that for myself. I have to do this for me. And I hope at some point you can come to the point that you can understand that.
Yeah. I mean, this has happened to me several times.
Oh, yeah.
Over the last, year or two where I've just had a lot of personal things going on, just a lot of things going on in my life where I've had to say no to people, and it doesn't have anything to do with them. Nothing to do with them at all. It's all the things that I'm dealing with right now. So it just doesn't work right now. And people just are not used to hearing no from me. And when I tell them no, they're just like, oh, come on, me, come on, me, come on, me. And I'm just like, I can't, and it's frustrating because you don't want to say no. I hate saying no. That's one of the reasons why we're here today. I'm not good at that. And so I think it's important to hold firm. And, as Hannah said, to be direct if the empathetic approach doesn't work. And, if these people are important to you, they'll still be by your side and they'll understand, But I kind of flip that switch on me like, wow, like they know what I'm going through right now and they're still pushing, so you have to, I have no problem with the direct approach at that point. If somebody understands that it isn't really in your best interest, it might be in their best interest, but it's not in your best interest. So, remember that, that it's okay. It's okay to do that.
Yeah. It's okay to say no. And the more you do it, the more it's like public speaking. The more you do it, the easier
like
it is.
This podcast.
Mm-hmm.
How simple is this podcast, Anna?
Huh?
How simple is this podcast now?
Well, you've made it pretty simple.
Oh, you guys do it without me. Right?
No, we definitely couldn't.
Yeah, I know. Every time.
No, you did. You did. I've ducked out a few times because I froze. Okay. So let me very quickly. Do you mind if we talk about the our sponsors?
No. Hannah's going to go back into blurred mode.
Yeah, go blur yourself. This is Blurred Lines. Yeah, so we have a sponsor. We seem to have the same sponsor every week. They like us. Blurred Lines Medical Spa in Dartmouth. They are giving away a deluxe facial. We're extending the contest for a week, so until next Tuesday. So all you have to do is go to their socials at Blurred Lines 11. And in the comment section under the contest post, write VTalks Facial. And then I will make that drawing next Tuesday. So you have a whole week. It's so simple. The facial is worth $250.
A lot.
Yeah, it's like an amazing deluxe.
Have you done it?
Oh, yes, it is amazing. Yeah.
Can we enter?
Yeah. You guys can enter.
I'm entering.
Yeah. So go to Facebook or Instagram, Blurred Lines. You have to like and follow their page, obviously, and able to get on there. And then you'll see a post for the
already done.
I'm in there. Yes. So everyone enter because this is a huge big deal. We have already given away one facial, and they love us at the VTalks.
We love them because it's like promoting self-care. So go and do it.
Promoting self-care. These are the things that we need to do. Look at you guys right on live, like, yes. All right. Now, so let's wrap this up in a little bow, ladies. We're coming up on the hour. So prioritizing your own needs are not selfish, but self-care. So let's, again, just kind of go over all the reasons why it's important to overcome people pleasing.
Mental health.
You're looking at it. Yourself. Yeah. You prioritize your own needs because you're important. That's what it comes down to. You absolutely cannot give to other people unless you're taking care of yourself, but really placing as much value as you place on people pleasing others, people please your own system, you know, you have to do it. It's just, it's very difficult thing to do, but it has a really good payoff in the end if you do.
And everybody
it's
has
true.
the time to do it. I think that's the other thing, you know, in a day where you feel like there's not enough time in the day, there is time in the day for you.
Yeah.
All right. And go to Blurred Lines and get a facial or enter to win a free facial.
Yes.
All right. All right, ladies. So we'll have to come up with another fun topic for next month. I thank you again. I love having you and I love seeing you. And we really do. I'm not kicking the can down. We need to make plans. We need to have our brainstorming dinner. Okay. Yeah. So let's put it together.
Perfect.
All right. All right. Bye, guys. All right. See you later. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in this evening to our Unmasking People Pleasing episode. I'm sorry early on we had some technical difficulties with my computer freezing. It's overheating. So I put a new fan on it. I think it's better, but we still had a little glitchy stuff earlier on, but I'm trying to resolve all that so we don't have that happen anymore. Anyway, but we will see you soon. Again, please enter the Blurred Lines contest for a facial. Let me get that back up here. There we go. For a facial giveaway. It's a $250 value. So go to their social pages, Blurred Lines 11, and then under the contest post, write a VTalks facial, and I will draw that next Tuesday night. All right, everybody. Have a good night, and thanks for tuning in. Bye.